What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another review video. Big shout out goes out to WakeWheel for reaching out to me and asking me to review one of their electric mountain bikes. This is the Oasis model, and I'm really excited about today's review because this particular e-bike is an absolute monster. Now, just for size comparison, I want to show you this. I am 5'8", and this is what I look like on this bike. It's a rather big, tall bike, so I can just about reach the floor on this. The seat is almost at its lowest setting, and that's what I look like on there. As far as the suspension, it's okay. It's a pretty generic fork with lockout. We'll see how it handles off-road, of course. And the rear shock, it's there, but it's very stiff. Again, of course, we're going to test all of that stuff. In this review, I'm going to go over the specs. I'm going to do a speed test, a brake test. I'm going to ride around and talk about the riding experience. And we're going to take it on a little mini off-road trail that I have over here because I am at the world-famous VoltedAdventures testing grounds. As always, there will be chapters down below, so feel free to skip around to whatever part is of interest to you. But first, let's get started with the specs. So what we have here is the WakeWheel Oasis electric mountain bike. It features dual hub motors, one in the front, one in the rear, with 5,000 watts peak power. That is crazy. Coupled with a massive removable 60 volts 26 amp hour battery, this should give you a potential range of up to 80 miles depending on riding mode and riding conditions, of course. We have 26-inch by 4-inch all-terrain fat tires, coupled with hydraulic brakes with 180mm rotors. This bike also has a front suspension fork with lockout, as well as a D&M A06 rear shock for a smooth, comfortable ride. We have a Shimano 7-speed with the Shimano derailleur, an adjustable seat that's decently comfortable, as well as a fairly large rear rack. In the front of the bike we have a decently bright headlight, and in the rear we have a taillight with an active brake light. That is always good. The total weight of this bike is 77 pounds with the max load capacity of 400 pounds. And up on the handlebars we have our rear brake, our Shimano gear changer, our half twist throttle and ignition switch. In the center we have a color display with all the information you'll need. And on the left side we have our front brake, our power button, mode selector, headlight switch, and a horn. And that is pretty much it for the specs. Now, as far as the price of this thing, it is currently going for $12.99 on Amazon, but it does have a $200 shipping charge, so we're talking about $1,500. But WakeWheel is currently running a promotion where you can get $70 off, and I'll have a link in the description for all that stuff if you're interested in this bike. Now, with all that being said, is this thing good value for money or not? That is exactly what we're going to find out in today's review. Now, a few things that stand out to me right off the bat with this e-bike is the dual motors. You don't see that every day. That is absolutely beautiful to see. And this shock over here, very interesting suspension design, and this is a D&M shock, so we got a better company, better component, so that is really nice. The third thing is this battery. Absolutely huge, 60 volts. That is beautiful to see. Alright, now before we do our speed test, I just want to show you the starting procedure. And this battery does have an on-off switch. Hopefully you guys can see that. You gotta have that switched on. And once the battery is on, you gotta turn the key on, which I love having the key up here. That is amazing. There's a lot of bikes that have the key on the battery and it stays down there. I don't fully like that. I much rather have it up here. Once the key is switched on, you hold down this power button for a couple seconds and the bike will turn on. I really hope you guys can see the screen well. It's a beautiful color display, but it's very bright out, so you might not be able to see that. Also, it might flicker because of the frame rate differences, but very nice display. Now, this bike has 5 pedal assist modes, but it technically has 10 of them because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on a single motor, and we have the same on dual motor. To access dual motor, you just double tap the power button and it will cycle through rear wheel drive or all wheel drive. Now for this speed test, I'm going to be using pedal assist mode 5 with dual motors. I got my GPS app over here and the speed reset. Gonna put that in my pocket for safety. And I really hope we'll have enough room over here to go through this. Alright, so we're starting to gain momentum, and wow, this thing just absolutely takes off. Doesn't yank you back completely, but it flies. Bike is already showing 40. I really hope we have enough room. 42, where we might have hit the maximum speed over here. Oh man, this thing flies. I'm pretty sure. Oh my god, you see that? Let's see what we got over here. Okay, my GPS app is showing 39 miles an hour, and the bike was showing about 41. Now this GPS app is a bit laggy, so I'll give the bike the benefit of the doubt. I think if we had a little bit more of the road to go on, the GPS might have caught up with it. But regardless, 39 miles an hour, that is absolutely crazy. Now check this out. Did you hear that? That front wheel is just spinning. This thing is absolutely, oh my god, absolutely crazy in dual motor mode. What an insane bike. Oh my god, this thing is crazy. Well, anyways, that was our speed test. Now let's do our brake test. Now, a couple things before we do our test. One, these are hydraulic brakes, which is absolutely beautiful to see. Second thing is they're brand new. They'll only get better with time as the pads wear and bed themselves in with the disc. So they should only perform better with time. Now the third thing is, and this is something I'm going to start doing in all of my brake tests because it's kind of not fair, especially with a bike like this that can go that fast. It'll have a much larger braking distance. So from now on, I'm going to be doing my brake tests at around 20 miles an hour. And I think that's fair all around for all the scooters I'm reviewing and bikes. Sometimes that's their max speed anyways. So we'll stick to 20 miles an hour from now on. So we have like a set parameter. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and do our brake test. And I'll try to keep the bike at around 20 or so. There we are. There's a bush coming up to the right. I'm going to be braking in 3, 2, 1. Oh my god. Both brakes locked. And we're looking at an estimated distance from that bush to over here of about 20 to 22 feet or so. But let's run it one more time for science sake. Oh my god, this thing is a beast. Alright, here we are already at about 22 miles an hour braking. Pretty assertive on the brakes right there. And the distance, if I'm not mistaken, it might be a foot or so better than last time. That was our brake test. Now let's talk about the bike itself. I am pretty much in love. I don't know what else to say. I review a lot of e-bikes, a lot of scooters. We all want more power, and this thing delivers. As far as the power, they're claiming 5,000 watts, which is almost SURRON numbers when you think about it. That is pretty crazy. Oh my god, look at that. The bike has a 60 volt battery, which is what a SURRON bike has. Now, if you're going to be running both motors at the highest speed, of course you're going to get less range than if you were to use the single motor at a lower speed setting. But regardless, that is a massive battery. So as far as power, the power is definitely there, and I'm literally in love with this thing. I'm still so amazed how the front wheel just spins like that. It's pretty crazy. But anyways, back to the bike. As far as the geometry, it's actually really nice. And that battery, even though it's a pretty hefty battery, weighs a lot, it's at a decent area in the bike, so you have like low center of gravity. Now, since we have 2 hub motors, obviously those wheels are gonna weigh a lot, but this thing is so zippy that you can't even tell. Like, it carries the weight very well. But let's see our turning radius over here, because it is a pretty big bike. Not bad turning radius. Did you hear that? I just can't get over that amount of power. Pretty pretty nuts. As far as the seat goes, it's okay. You know, it's decent. It's kind of soft and it's really wide. It'll probably break in with time and become better. The cool thing about it is I'm pretty sure the tubing is standard, so if you wanted to, you can easily replace the seat on this thing. Other than that, the suspension, you know, it's whatever. It's very generic. It's not gonna be the most comfortable suspension in the world, but we're about to test that right now anyways with our little off-road section over here. Oh my god, look at that power. The front wheel just goes. That's pretty gnarly. Oh yeah, you might hear my helmet shaking all over the place. The suspension is not the best. I mean, it's better than not having anything, but you're not gonna have a Fox suspension on this thing, so keep that in mind. But this thing is, oh yeah, look at this uphill. It's just eating it up. This thing is conquering this trail with ease. Look at the front tire, just that is crazy. Keep on saying that, but it's absolutely wild. Now, there is this hill climb over here. I'll set up my camera so you guys can see that. I typically don't include it in the off-road test because a lot of the bikes that I review will not have enough power to hit that climb. It is at least a 20% grade, at least. But I'll set up my camera so you guys can see me climb this thing. I'm pretty sure this thing will handle it. Alright, let's give it a shot with this uphill right now. Oh my god. No problem at all. Oh yeah. Still spinning tire. That is absolutely crazy. Now that is a pretty gnarly hill climb. I really hope the camera will be able to show you guys. Look at that thing. This has so much power. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. As I said, I never do that hill climb because I know the bikes that I review are not going to be able to do it. They're not really meant for that type of grade. But this thing just ate it up like nothing. I had a lot of fun reviewing this thing. The WakeWheel Oasis is absolutely insane. At this point, let's do things I like, things I don't like, and is this thing good value for money or not? And we'll also score it. Let's start with things I like. I love, not like, the power on this bike. Absolutely crazy. Dual motors, I love that. 5,000 watt peak, that is absolutely insane. You saw the way that front wheel was spinning all over the place for this size of a bike as well. That is absolutely crazy. Second thing is I love the battery. If we look at the screen over here, I did 8 miles and I'm still at 64.3 volts. That is absolutely amazing. So you're gonna get a decent amount of range with this thing. The next thing I like is that color display. Absolutely beautiful, perfect size, gives you all the info you need. Excellent. And another thing I like is that key. So as I mentioned earlier, sometimes some of these bikes have the key like in this general vicinity where you turn the bike on and it stays right there. I mean, I don't fully like it. I'm not the biggest fan of it. Having it up here, that is absolutely beautiful. The reason I also like having a key is, so technically this bike has 3 ways to turn it on. The battery first has to be on, and then you have to hit the switch, and then you have to hit the power button. Now some people might think that's too many steps, but the way I look at it is it's very good for safety. So if you're going to the store or wherever, somewhere, you putting the bike on the side, you can just turn it off, take the key with you, it's off. Even if the battery is on, nobody can turn the bike on unless they have the key, which is a beautiful feature to have in my opinion. I also really like the hydraulic brakes. I say this in all my reviews. I think that at this point all of these bikes should have hydraulic brakes, and these are really decent. Now things I don't like. Things I don't like, or it's more of I wish it had, is better suspension. Now it does have suspension, and it is better than not having anything. But if this bike had better suspension, it would be absolutely perfect. Like literally perfect. The second thing is that rear shock or center shock, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it is D&M, so it's a better component, better product than just a generic one, but it's very stiff. Now it could be adjusted. You do have to have a special pump for these things, but you could take some air out and perhaps make it a bit softer. The next thing that I don't fully like, but again, it's very easy to replace, is the seat. As I mentioned, it's okay, it's decent, but after a couple hours, it might start hurting. Again, very easy fix. It's a very standard tubing. You can easily replace the seat and get something a bit better. So that's an easily upgradable part. And that's pretty much it. I mean, those are the only few things that I don't like on this bike. Now, is this thing good value for money or not? So we're talking $12.99 plus $200 shipping, and you get $70 off. Use my link in the description. So overall, this bike is a beautiful value for money. As I was reviewing this bike, another gentleman passed by with his electric bike, and we started talking. We were literally talking for about like 30 or 40 minutes. And he let me ride his bike, and then I told him, you want to try this? And he went and tried it, and he was riding motorcycles and e-bikes and reviewing them pretty much his whole life. And after he came back from testing it, we both definitely agreed that this is really, really good value for money. Now, we both kind of talked about the same thing, how the suspension is lacking. It could be a bit better, but overall, as an overall package for the price, this thing is really good value for money. Now, what score am I giving this bike? Let's see. I think I'm gonna give this bike a 9 out of 10. This bike would have gotten a 10 out of 10 from me if it had better suspension. But a 9 out of 10 is what I'm giving this bike, which is a really good score anyways. Now, I'm pretty sure I was able to cover everything there is to know about this bike, but in case I missed anything, please leave a comment down below. I'll do my best to try to answer. If I was able to provide you guys with any type of value, I would highly appreciate it if you left a like on this video. It's free for you. It helps me out a lot. If you want to see more of these reviews, and there are plenty more coming, definitely hit that subscribe button. But that is pretty much it for me, guys. My name is Tom. This has been the WakeWheel Oasis electric mountain bike review. I appreciate you guys watching as always, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.